All right, there are several ways to do percent problems, but I'm going to show you how to do percent problems as a proportion. And for the time being, that's the only way I'm going to show you. Sometimes you learn too many different ways to do the same thing, and that actually makes it harder, because then you try to like, well, I wonder which way is easiest this time. This is the way we're going to do it. So the learning target says, be able to use proportional reasoning to solve percent problems. And it all works this way. We talked about this some in the previous couple of days, part to whole. All right? But it wasn't always that. Sometimes it was, like stores to years was one example we did. And as long as we stuck to the same thing, we were always okay. With percent problems, it needs to be part to whole equals percent to 100. So one of your fractions is always going to be something over 100. Now, it could be the 100 that, it'll never, I don't think it'll ever be the 100 that's the x. So it'll be something over 100. It could be x over 100, could be an actual number over 100. But one of your two fractions in your proportion will be something over 100. Now, the reason that is because that's what the word percent means. Okay? 7% means 7 out of 100. 50% means 50 out of 100. 99% means 99 out of 100. That's what percent means, per 100. I mean, you may have never thought of this, but how many cents in a dollar? 100%. Cent means 100. The word cent, C-E-N-T, means 100. So percent means per 100. That's why that fraction's always going to be in your proportion, per 100. Okay? That little percent sign over 100, per 100. All right, so let me make something up here. 2 over 4. Now, we all know 2 over 4 is 1/2, and we know that 1/2 is the same thing as 50%, don't we? Okay? But if I didn't know that, here's the way I would work it. If the question was, with 2 over 4, I got 2 out of 4 right on the test, what percent did I get? Well, I'd say the part you got right, 2, to whole, there were 4 whole questions, equals your percent over 100. Okay? So, cross products, you get 4x equals 200. Divide both sides by 4. And sure enough, that's 50%, just like we said it was. Or knew it was going to be. Might be a better way to say that. Now, sometimes when you're finished with a problem like this, because the x is going to bounce around, right? It's not always going to be there. Sometimes it's going to be where the 2 is. Sometimes it's going to be where the 4 is. What have you found when you're done? I'm not going to make you write a sentence for every answer, but what we found is that 2, the numerator, the part, is, and then what percent? 50% of 4, the whole. They can be written like this. The part is some percent of the whole. The part is some percent of the whole. It may be the part you're finding. It may be the sum, S-O-M-E, you're finding. It may be the whole. So your x might be that, or that, or that. And as you could probably guess, that's the hardest part of these problems. It's figuring out which one's the x. Because if you can figure out which one's the x from the wording of the problem, then you know how to set up the proportion. Any questions so far? I'll give you a second to write that down. All right, keep it in mind that part is to whole as percent is to 100. I want to know what percent 3 is of 9. Now, some of you already know the answer to this one, and if you do, don't say anything. But if I want to know, I got 3 out of 9 on the test, what percent did I get? So the part, the number I got right, to the whole, the number I could have gotten right, equals the percent, which is what I don't know, over 100. Does that seem to you like a reasonable way to set this proportion up? Okay. Now, we do cross products. 9 times x equals 9x. 3 times 100 equals 300. Then we use our calculator to divide both sides by 9. And we get 33.33333. So just stop writing 3's whenever you get tired of writing 3's is sort of what it amounts to. I went ahead and said 33.33. So what have we found? We found that 3 is 33.33% of 9. In both of these cases, both of these examples we've done, the x was the percent. Okay? When your x is the percent, make sure if you have to write your answer or if you have to pick out a multiple choice answer, 33.33 is not actually your answer. 33.33% is actually what your answer is. Okay? All right. On the worksheet that I'm going to give you in a few minutes, so let's take a look at number 1. And let's keep in mind that we're going to do part to whole equals percent to 100. Part over whole equals percent over 100. So the directions are really simple. Solve each problem. Then it says round to the nearest tenth or tenth of a percent. And I'm going to be flexible on the rounding. If you want to do hundredth, that's fine. I don't care. Okay? Now, what I decided I'd better do, and to be honest with you, I'd worked these out and then decided I'd better come back and do this because the hardest thing for students is usually, what's the x? Is it the part, is it the whole, or is it the percent? So for number 1, they ask, what percent of 29 is 3? What percent? So x represents the percent, doesn't it? You don't necessarily have to write that down, but you have to have decided that. What does x stand for? Because if you don't know what it stands for, you're just going to randomly put it in your proportion, and then you've got not a very good chance of getting it right. All right, so if x is the percent, I need to figure out the part and the whole. All right, they want to know what percent of 29 is 3. How about this? 3 is what percent of 29? Might make more sense. So 3 is the part, 29 is the whole. We'd already decided x is the percent, and it's over 100. If we can get this set up, we should be able to get the right answer. You guys with me on setting it up? All right, you do cross products. You get 29x equals 300. You divide both sides by 29. And if you round that to the nearest tenth, you get 10.3. And then you need to keep in mind, what is the 10.3? It was the percent. The final sentence, yes, I want you to, because that hopefully will help nail down some true understanding. And look, all I did was I went back to their question, and where it said what percent, I just put in the answer as a percent. So it said, what percent? I said 10.3% of 29 is 3. I do think you will find that helpful, although annoying that you have to do it. I think you'll find it helpful so that you actually understand what you've found. All right. Any questions on number 1? Okay, let's do number 5 together. This time they say 28% of 63 is what? X isn't going to be percent anymore. 28 is the percent. So of 63 is what? Of 63. That tells you 63 is the whole, doesn't it? So X must be the part. It's the part that we're missing. They gave us the percent. When it says of 63, they're telling us there were 63 of them, whatever them is, test questions, whatever. So X is the part, 63 is the whole, 28 is the percent, 100. Part to whole equals percent to 100. Now, the X is in a different place, but that doesn't bother us at all on the proportion, does it? It may bother us on writing the proportion. It shouldn't bother us at all on solving. So, cross products. 100 times X is 100X. 63 times 28 is 1,764. And then I need to divide both sides by 100. So I get 17.64. They said, the direction said to round to the nearest tenth, but I got a good exact answer. That's not rounded at all. I'm sticking with that. If you round it, I'll count it right because the directions told you to, but I'm sticking with that. So, what have we found? We've found that 28% of 63 is 17.64. Questions on 5? All right, on number 10, I'm going to make you do more of the thinking. What is 12% of 17.5? Is X the part, the whole, or the percent? What are they asking for? The part, the whole, not the percent. They give us 12%. The part. The clue is when they, I hesitate to say always, but of the number, whatever it's of, that's the whole. Okay? So X equals the part because the 17.5 is the whole. All right, write your proportion. Write the one you think should be used, and then I'll uncover mine. Do we have the same proportion? So the part, X, to the whole, 17.5, equals the percent, 12 to 100. Once you have that proportion, go ahead and work it and see what you get. First, figure out what X equals, and then see if you can write a sentence for your answer. So I guess I changed my mind when I said I wouldn't make you. I'm making you write the sentence for your answer. Did you get 2.1? So 2.1 is 12% of 17.5. Now you might wonder, why would you ever do this? Why wouldn't you always just have the x over the 100? Isn't the percent the thing that you want to find? Usually, but sometimes you're not told information that way. Right? Sometimes you're told something like, scoring is down 12% in the NFL this year. Last year, teams averaged 17.5 points per game, but scoring's down 12%. Okay, how many points per game is scoring down? 2.1. Okay, that's the kind of thing that would come from this. All right, let's flip over to the back of the worksheet. Now, number 13, you might notice, is worded a little bit differently. 112 minutes is 76% of what? Of what? X is the whole. All right, so when we write this proportion, 112 minutes, that's your part, to X, because that's the whole, equals 76, because that's the percent, to 100. Once you have your proportion set up, it's time to go to work. And I guess if I'd have paid attention to the directions, I would have rounded to the nearest tenth, like they told me to. But once you think you know what X equals, look up at the screen and see if you got it right. So 112 minutes is 76% of 147.4 minutes. Now, when would this kind of question come up? Let's say you were doing, like, those, what are they called? ILP? Is that what you have to fill out every year on a computer? But, they had to tell you what percent you're finished. Now, it wouldn't take you anywhere near this long. But if it tells you you're 76% finished, and you look on the timer and it says you've been doing this 112 minutes, you might be like, well, criminy, how long is it going to take me? Set this proportion up. It's going to take you 147.4 minutes is how long it's going to take. Okay? Which, thankfully, they don't take quite that long. All right. 18. Work it all by yourself. I'll uncover it a little bit at a time up here. After you've done a couple of steps, look up here and see if you're getting the same thing I'm getting. 18. 18. Let's go to number 22 next, because it's always weird when you have a percent that's over 100%. Because, we'll laugh and joke because you watch sports and they interview somebody, yeah, we came out, we all gave 110%. And then somebody will say, well, you can't really give more than 100% because that's everything. That's true in that case. But you can have percentages greater than 100, okay? For instance, if you have two cars and you buy another car, that's one more car. That's 50% of the two you started with. Now you have 150% of the number of cars you had when you started. See what I'm saying? Because you added 50% to your 100%. So there are things greater than 100%. There really are. So this is one of them. For 22, it says, what is 170% of 97 tons? The of 97's cluing you in that's 97 is the whole, the 170 is the percent, so X must be the part. So the part X to the whole, 97, equals the percent, 170, to 100. So it does seem a bit strange to have a number bigger than 100 over 100 on that side of the equation. I think this is the only problem on the whole worksheet, maybe there's one other, that works like this. There's not many. So once we've got it set up, you go ahead and solve it. That'd be fine. Well, actually, since the directions say nearest tenth, leave it as 164.9. Questions? All right, work 21 real quick. All right, as you could probably guess then, do the rest of the worksheet.